You're staring at that computer screen. Again, the cursor blinks, almost taunting you, as if it knows you're stuck. Maybe you've been sitting there for minutes, or maybe it's already been hours. Either way, the task in front of you feels like a mountain you just can't climb. That big project is hanging over your head, and that blank page, it's mocking you. Every time you glance at it, it seems to get bigger, more intimidating. The pressure builds, and yet your mind keeps wandering. You know you've got to start, but you just can't. It's like there's an invisible wall between you and your work, and no matter how hard you try, you can't seem to break through. Sound familiar? Believe me, we've all been there. Whether you're a student, a professional, or anyone with a deadline, procrastination is a universal experience. It doesn't matter how motivated or organized you are, sometimes it just sneaks up on you. Procrastination, it gets us all. It doesn't discriminate, it can strike when you least expect it, turning even the simplest tasks into overwhelming challenges. It's that voice in your head saying, nah, we got time, let's watch just one more funny cat video. Suddenly 5 minutes turns into an hour, and your to-do list is still untouched. Social media, streaming shows, endless scrolling, distractions are everywhere, and they're oh so tempting. We all know we should be working, but suddenly cleaning the whole house seems more appealing. You find yourself organizing your closet, rearranging your desk, or even alphabetizing your bookshelf. Anything to avoid starting that daunting task. Maybe you even convince yourself that these little chores are productive, that you're just getting ready to work. But deep down, you know it's just another way to delay the inevitable. Or maybe you're a master of last-minute scrambling. You wait until the deadline is breathing down your neck, and then you spring into action, typing furiously, heart pounding, hoping you can pull it off in time. Pulling all-nighters, fueled by coffee and sheer panic. Been there, done that. The adrenaline rush might get you through, but it leaves you exhausted, frazzled, and promising yourself you'll never do it again. And yet the cycle repeats. The stress, the guilt, the anxiety, they all pile up, making it even harder to start next time. It's a vicious loop that can feel impossible to break. But here's the thing. Procrastination doesn't just steal your time, it steals your peace of mind. It robs you of confidence, drains your energy, and makes even small victories feel out of reach. The good news? You're not alone, and there are ways to break free from the procrastination trap. So, why do we do it? Why do we find ourselves stuck in this cycle, putting things off even when we know it's not helping us? It's a question that almost everyone has asked themselves at some point, whether it's about school, work, or even simple chores at home. Why do we sabotage ourselves with this procrastination thing? Why do we let deadlines creep up until the last minute, or let important tasks gather dust on our to-do lists? It's not because we're lazy or don't care. In fact, it's often the opposite. Well, fear is a big one. Fear can be paralyzing. It's that little voice in the back of your mind that makes you doubt yourself, that makes you question whether you're really up to the task. Sometimes it's fear of failing, but sometimes it's even fear of succeeding and what that might mean for you. Fear of failure whispers, what if it's not good enough? What if people judge me? What if I disappoint myself or others? These thoughts can be so overwhelming that it feels safer not to try at all, just to avoid the risk of falling short. Then there's perfectionism, its sneaky cousin saying, it's gotta be perfect, or why even bother? Perfectionism convinces us that unless we can do something flawlessly, it's not worth starting. We get caught up in tiny details, revising and reworking, never feeling satisfied. The pressure to be perfect can be just as immobilizing as fear. And let's not forget good old overwhelm. Sometimes the sheer size of a project or the number of things on our plate makes us freeze. Our brains go into overload, and suddenly, even the smallest step forward feels impossible. That big, scary project, it feels like trying to climb Mount Everest in flip-flops. The more we think about everything we have to do, the more impossible it seems. We start to believe we'll never get to the top. So why even take the first step? You don't even know where to begin. The blank page stares back at you and your mind goes blank too. It's like being lost in a maze with no map, unsure which direction to take. Take my friend, let's call him John. John is smart, hardworking, and really cares about doing a good job. But even he isn't immune to these feelings. John had to write a big report for work. It was an important project, something his boss was counting on. He wanted to impress everyone and prove himself, but he kept putting it off. Every time he sat down to start, he'd find something else to do. Check his phone, organize his desk, even clean his apartment. Anything but actually writing. Why? He wanted it to be absolutely perfect, so he didn't even start. The fear of not meeting his own high standards made him freeze. And the longer he waited, the bigger and scarier the task seemed. This is how fear, perfectionism, and overwhelm can trap us in a cycle of procrastination, even when we want nothing more than to move forward. We've all been there, staring at a mountain of work, feeling completely stuck and not knowing where to start. The pressure builds and suddenly procrastination creeps in, making even the simplest task feel impossible. So how do we beat this procrastination monster? The answer is surprisingly simple. Break it down. Instead of letting that big, intimidating project loom over you, take a step back and look for ways to divide it into smaller, more manageable parts. That huge, overwhelming task, don't let it scare you. Chop it into bite-sized pieces. Imagine you're slicing a giant cake. Each slice is easier to handle than the whole thing at once. When you break your work into smaller chunks, you give yourself clear, achievable goals. Take John, for example. Remember that report he was stressing about? At first, he thought he had to write the entire thing in one sitting, which felt impossible. But then he realized he didn't have to do it all at once. He broke it down into sections: introduction, research, analysis, and conclusion. Suddenly, the task felt manageable. Each section became a mini goal, and with every part he finished, he felt a sense of progress and accomplishment. Think of it like eating an elephant. You gotta do it one bite at a time. No one expects you to swallow the whole thing in one go. The same goes for your work. Small steps add up to big results. Don't try to tackle everything at once. Multitasking can make you feel even more overwhelmed. Instead, pick one small task and give it your full attention. You'll be surprised at how much easier things become when you focus on just one thing at a time. Start with something small, something you can accomplish today. Maybe it's outlining your project, reading one article, or writing just the introduction. Every little step counts, and each one brings you closer to your goal. Trust me, the feeling of checking something off your list, it's a beautiful thing. That sense of accomplishment gives you the motivation to keep going. Before you know it, all those small bites add up and the big task is done. So next time you're faced with something huge, remember, break it down, take it one step at a time, and celebrate every win along the way. Here's a little secret weapon. The 5-minute rule. Tell yourself you'll work on something for just 5 minutes. That's it. 5 minutes is nothing, right? You can handle anything for 5 minutes. Here's the funny part. Once you start, you often keep going. The 5 minutes turns into 10, then 20, and before you know it, you're in the zone. It's like tricking your brain. You're not telling it to write a whole book, just the first paragraph. And guess what? Sometimes starting is the hardest part. Once you get going, momentum takes over. Now let's talk deadlines. Deadlines are like that extra shot of espresso. They give you that kick in the pants to get moving. Set realistic deadlines for each small task. Write them down, put them in your calendar, set reminders on your phone, make it real. Knowing you have a finish line makes all the difference. It's like running a race. You push harder when you know the end is in sight. And when you hit that deadline, celebrate. You earned it. Here's the best part. Once you start taking action, even small steps, something amazing happens. Momentum builds. It's like a snowball rolling downhill. It starts small, but it gets bigger and bigger as it goes. You start checking things off your list, and that feeling of accomplishment, it fuels you to keep going. Remember John in his report? He started with the introduction, then tackled one section at a time. Before he knew it, he was done. And you know what? It wasn't perfect, but it was good, really good, and the feeling of relief and pride, priceless. So what are you waiting for? The perfect moment rarely comes. Choose one thing you've been putting off, just one simple task, and give it 5 minutes of your focus. That's it, 5 minutes to break free from procrastination. Write that email, start that project, make that phone call today, and then tell me about it. Celebrate your progress, share your success, no matter how small or big, because action beats procrastination every single time. Start small, win big. You got this.